I'm Ryan Johnson. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I design tomahawks and knives and tools. This is the Chogan hammer. It's based on an 18th century pipe tomahawk, but also a hammer pole tomahawk. It has the lines of a pipe tomahawk. And you saw some, instead of being a pipe, it was a hammer. It distributes weight back into around the handle, so it gives a good solid strike. It doesn't go to one side or another. It has a very effective hammer pole that's also hardened, so you can hammer hard surfaces with it and be okay. But then the cutting edge, differentially hardened, you can actually see the hardness line on these, and a nice smooth taper to the blade, so it cuts well, it cuts deep. From anything from chopping down trees to splitting kindling to getting in and out of things. The handle is a drop-in style handle, and the reason you see that traditionally, one was for pipe tomahawks, so that they could have a hole through the handle and not have to wedge it, but also so that they could travel with stuff and pack it tightly. So a tomahawk you want to keep out like this when you're using it, but if you're going to stash it away and store it, you can simply take it, hit it on the ground, and now I can pack it nice and tight. This tapered handle and tapered eye also ensures that the head never actually flies off the handle. I'm not relying on wedges, and it's not dependent on whether the wood grows or shrinks. If I'm in a drier climate, it's not a problem. I can just move the head further up onto the handle and vice versa.
Hello everybody, my name is TJ Schwartz. I'm a custom knife maker and a knife designer. I work really closely with CRKT and I'm excited to bring you this new knife. This is the compact Overland. So if you're familiar with my full-size Overland folding knife that I designed for CRKT, you'll recognize this little guy. This is a stubby, sort of tall and short version of the Overland. It has a lot of the same attributes with a couple differences. It does have the same ability to cut on a flat surface that's signature to the Overland, and also it has the ability to choke up on the edge very closely. It does not have the sort of conventional guard that a lot of knives have or that the other Overland has, and so with such a short handle, one of the ways for me to make it feel more full in the hand is to allow the handle essentially to come all the way to the edge, so you get the fullness in the hand while the overall package is still small. One other unique thing about the compact Overland is that in the closed position, when I was designing the knife, I really wanted, you can see a scallop here and a scallop here. I really wanted that kind of dynamic symmetry, I call it, and a lot of knives would have to have kind of a 90-degree corner on the shoulder of the blade when it's revealed like that, and I wasn't a fan. And so my solution for that was to have two stop pins. So the knife has a stop pin for the blade in the closed position and a stop pin for the blade in the open position, and it allowed the stop pin to be far enough forward that that scallop, still being the surface that stops the blade in the open position, could be further down and have more of a contour to it. So kind of a little detail, two stop pins that allowed for kind of a unique kind of figuring of the front of the handle there. I'm really happy with how CRKT has executed this knife. I hope you like it.
Today at CRKT we are taking a look at the Flavio Ikoma designed Fossil. Very cool model for 2014. It comes in 3 different styles. You've got the black blade with the vest serrations, you've got a satin style in the large size, and then you've got a smaller size that all the same basic specs but just about 1.5 inches smaller on the overall length. Let me tell you about this large one. This is the model 5471K, a beautiful piece. The overall length on it is 8.8 inches. The blade length is 3.9 inches. You can see those veft serrations there. They're easier to sharpen, and they kind of have a guillotine effect in cutting rope, cardboard, that sort of thing. They just really rip through it very quickly and very nicely. Now this knife opens with the flipper right there on the back, so you just get your finger on there and give it a nice little flick, and it flies right open. It has an IKBS ball bearing system in the pivot that makes it easy to open. Now it closes with this frame lock, so to close the knife, just push over on that frame, and close the knife like so. It's got these G10 overlay scales on it that are just give it that fossil, pulled out of the ground sort of look. I think the name and the look of this knife is spot on. Check out that pocket clip. Let me show you a shot of it in my pocket to give you an idea of how it rides. Now I mentioned this knife comes in a couple other sizes. You've got the large version with the satin blade. Essentially the specs are exactly the same between these two. The weight is 6.1 ounces on the larger version. And then you've got a smaller version with the overall length of 7.6 inches. And the weight is 4.1 ounces with the blade length right about 3.4 inches. So just depending on what you're looking for, this one is a little smaller. So that's the basics on this knife. I want to show you a size comparison real quick in my hand. There you have it. Give you an idea of how big it is, and a small one in my hand as well. And then I always like to show a size comparison with a house key, just to give you an idea of how big the knife actually is. So there's that one, and then the smaller version right here. So there you have it. If you have any questions, be sure to visit our website. Thanks for watching, and thanks for carrying CRKT.
I'm Ryan Johnson. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I design tomahawks and knives and tools. So when I was a kid, my dad paid me to chop kindling. So we heated with a stove, and he would saw up pine logs and pay me per milk crate of kindling. I made $1 per milk crate. And that was just one of my chores that I got paid for as a kid. And so I split a lot of kindling as a kid. I did dozens and dozens and dozens of milk crates full of pine kindling. And back then I used what's called the Bridgeport Boy Scout hatchet. So the Bridgeport Boy Scout hatchet was a hatchet that was drop forged in the 30s, and it's great for splitting kindling. And that was kind of one of the things I was thinking about when we designed this, was the idea of something that would just be a great small footprint hatchet that you could keep on the hearth for splitting up kindling, keeping it around the house, but also to carry camping. And just processing wood for the campfire. Has a hammer pole, which again is a weight distribution thing. It allows the weight to be distributed so that you can get a good strike with it. Hammer pole is great for camp chores and breaking up things. But then this blade, while it's great for chopping and you can chop and process small limbs and trees with it, it's just great for splitting. It's made for splitting, and so it's a kindling machine. The blade has a more aggressive taper than a normal tomahawk, where it would have a real fine taper for getting into trees and wood. This has a more aggressive taper for splitting. It also has insets in the blade that are forged in that reduce the surface area that's exposed to the cut, which allows more force to be transferred to what you're splitting. Less drag equals more force. You actually see that on axes going back into the late 1800s. It's when they started doing that. And it's a process that went away for a while. You're starting to see a comeback. We actually kind of started bringing it back, was with this. But yeah, that's one nice thing about the drop forging process, is you can do a lot of stuff like that.
I'm James Williams. I design tools for Columbia River Knife and Tool. This is called the HC6, Hitozukuri for the blade shape in Japanese. I have a vested interest in how these knives, the people that carry these knives, because I know a lot of them personally, still train people. So when I'm looking for a design for a combat knife, there's a few features that are essential. One of them is it has to penetrate. It has to penetrate easily through clothing, through nylon. Guys are wearing tactical gear. It has to penetrate, it has to go through bone, it has to go through whatever's necessary in the moment. Penetration is dependent upon shape. Broader, flatter points and stuff, even heavy reinforced ones, don't penetrate as well. It's just the way it is. When you're looking at a shape like that, you need to be able to get maximum penetration. Also, I need to get the maximum amount of tissue deformity that I can achieve. And it's not about slashing like this. Although this knife cuts actually quite well like this, this isn't going to solve the problem in the moment. It's more about what kind of damage can I do, what kind of tissue deformity can I create once the knife has actually penetrated. And some of you have seen my videos before, see I like small knives. This is still a small knife that won't cut through a forearm. I'm going to tend to use them, point out, edge up a lot. If I penetrate somebody like this and you move away, or I pull back or try to do this, I've got minimum, got a hole. That's not going to slow anybody down in a short time frame. If I penetrate this way, any movement either one of us make is going to maximize the tissue deformity. It's going to facilitate hemorrhaging, which is going to be your primary way of solving the problem. No guards. Guards get in the way in certain situations like this. This isn't Western dueling where everybody's got a long sword and doing all of that. This is going to be close, it's going to be violent, it's going to be rapid. Okay? I can't have this catching on anything, catching on my gear, catching on my clothes. So there's no catching. The sheath actually is bigger around. So it can be tucked anywhere, it can wrap around stuff. I pull it out, it's out. I need to know that. How do I keep from slipping? Well, I one, design the handle properly, and two, I hold the knife properly. So if I'm stabbing penetration, I'm going to fit the knife right into my hand, just like this. This type of thing is inefficient, easy to block, doesn't give you the best hold anyway. This is not. It works really well. Very difficult to block. My bone structure and the knife are held together. If I happen to stab, which will frequently also be edge in, okay, but it may not be, then my thumb or my finger is going to go over. Some of you have watched me, say, penetrate this knife through plywood. You see I'm holding it, no problem. The handle facilitates good grip under any conditions that we can basically expect a knife to work under. Hot, cold, wet, slippery, dry. Some people don't realize how slippery dry becomes. Okay, so you have a tremendous grip on it. You can put finger here, thumb here. It's for tremendous grip. The sheath then has to be simple as well. I want to be able to hit the knife whichever way I need to, whichever hand, depending upon how I'm carrying, whether I'm carrying it in my belt, whether I'm carrying it concealed, whether I'm carrying it in my tactical gear. I have to be able to hit it. So the sheath is very functional, minimalist, but holds the knife well, allows me multiple mounting options. Some mounting options, okay? So you see this clip that's on the Skin Do. So this is the same clip that comes with the HC6. And it can fit different places depending upon how you want to carry the knife. You can also figure out other ways of carrying. If you're going to put it in your molly gear, depending upon what's happening, you can also get max Velcro, stick it through like a battle belt. I've got one on my battle belt. Pull the Velcro, stick this inside the magazines, put it back together. So now the mags are accessed here, but I can reach just over and inside very easily and also access the knife. And you want to be able to do that because the knife can do many things, including maybe cutting somebody out of seat belts, cutting clothes off so I can see about a wound, depending upon who's the first person there and what you have to access. So a versatile knife is very important, and one that's designed specifically to do the most dangerous job. Even if it'll do other jobs, you want to know it will do the most dangerous job the best that can be. I'm James Williams. I design tools for Columbia River Knife and Tool, and this particular design is my small camping axe, Skeggox. So what I was looking for here is to get the most functional tool I can. You're carrying weight, right? So you need that weight to work for you. You know, the old ranger saying, ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. Okay, so we want to make sure that when we carry something, we get the most use out of the tool. So first, you have to be able to work with the tool. This is obviously an old Viking design. The handle shape is designed to allow you to get the maximum amount of energy and relaxation through each stroke of the axe when you're cutting. Something that came from my Filipino training was this hook at the end from using barongs and stuff. And that's so that I don't have to have my hand hard and rigid all the time to try to keep the axe from slipping out. If you haven't worked with your hands a lot, you're not going to be able to do a lot of hard work, you know, by gripping, because your hands just aren't used to it. But with this, you can relax your hand, you can throw it, and you can see how easy, because it catches here. So I don't have to have my hand too tight. The design allows a nice broad cutting edge, say if I'm chopping. It allows then, I can move up a little bit. Say I'm delimbing, cut maybe something like this, and I'm going to build a shelter. Easy for me to delimb, move up a little bit. I don't have to take wide swings. Remember, when you're delimbing, you might be coming back towards yourself a little. You'd rather not have so much handle if you don't need it. Then it also allows me to debark the tree really easily, one way or another. I can debark it this way or the other, and also use as a skiff. So say I had to shape some wood, and I can literally come in and I can use this like a skiff, and I can shape the wood. Okay? This design also makes it very easy to use this for skinning deer. Okay? Works really well. You can hold it up nice and easy in your hand. You can skin the deer. You can do lots of other tasks with it that you do with the knife. You also have the fact that I could use this for defense. So I would grab it like this, depending upon circumstances, initially for defense, maybe even against somebody that had another tool kind of similar. One, there's steel all the way through here, and my hand's protected up here, so nothing's coming through, right? If you know a little bit and you can pass the other axe by in the process, you can pass it by, you could cut, and you could pass it by, and I can slip it really quick into my hand, and I'm not concerned about losing it because, again, of this hook. Really easy to do that. This allows you to penetrate hard objects. If you look back at history, like the Vikings, right, they tried to get everything they could out of a single tool. You couldn't have like 3 or 4 different axes. You know, steel and stuff, metal was precious, so you had to get the most that you could out of the tool, and that's the design philosophy around the Skeggox. So then, how are we going to carry it? So, in my pack, okay, I like to have the axe accessible. So what I do is I put it through 2 molly loops on my side right here, so that when I'm walking, I can reach back, I can pop this, and then if I need to, I can just pull the axe out. Okay? So what we did on the sheath is we gave you some options. Okay? We gave you some options. This is safety, but the sheath is pretty good. It would probably hold it for most things. Hiking and stuff, climbing, I'd make sure I put this on. But you have some options there because the sheath actually holds the axe quite well. I'll demonstrate that quickly. Okay? The sheath actually holds the axe quite well. Again, personal choice here. This mounting system puts these like this or that side, however you want to do it. And what that allows me to do then is I can slip these onto my pack through the molly loops on the side, and it allows me to carry my axe right here. So I can reach back and I can access it when I need it. I don't have to take my pack off or try to reach and rummage. It's sitting right here. If I wasn't wearing my pack and I wanted to wear it a different way, then this mechanism fits on. And again, you can make decisions on how you want that, but this also fits actually this way or this way, or I can now just open it, put it on the belt, and I can move it up or down, and it accommodates different sizes belts. We have a tool that's very flexible. It's light, relatively speaking, and cuts more powerfully than you would think for an axe this size. It actually cuts really well. It's easy to work with over a long period of time, easy to carry different ways, lots of different tasking, good stuff.